Well, it was an unfortunate play, John. The ball came out a little low, and Deshaun couldn't get a handle on it, and they were able to fall on it before we could fall on it because we still had some time and another down, but they were able to come up with it, and so that kind of basically ended the game at that point.
Romeo, could you talk about the performance of QT and Hanson?
Well, they're two young men who've been with the program for a couple of years, and they work very hard at practice. They're the guys who are running show team routes and giving us a look for the opponent that we have to face, and they haven't been getting very much notarized for what they do other than from the guys they're going against. But they were able to step in and do a great job today, and that shows how they prepared themselves, that hard work that they put in, that paid off for them. And I think that we see now that they can help this football team.
Aaron Wilson.
Romeo, your thoughts on the defensive performance, particular J.J. Watt, and how the guys did the second half against Phillip Rivers?
Well, the second half was a good half. The biggest thing about the second half is we made stops kind of when we needed to. And particularly on the goal line down there, there was a tremendous stop there to give the offense the ball back. And so that's one of the things about this group of young men that play defense. You know, early in the season, it was rough, really rough, but they began to make progress as a unit and understanding, particularly when they need to, quote, we call it bow up and get something done. And they were able to do that the second half, which gave us an opportunity to possibly win the game.
And both sides of the football, how did you feel like the team reacted to Will Fuller and Bradley Roby's suspensions and kind of different guys playing on both sides of the ball? Thank you.
Well, I think if you look at the game and see how hard they played and you know, going down to the wire, we didn't have those guys, but we had other guys who stepped up and went out there and fought and played. And that's what has to happen in this game because guys get hurt, you lose them, guys get suspended, you lose them, and the next man has to be able to step up and do his part and help the team.
Aaron Reese.
Hey, Romeo, could you take us through a couple of decisions you made at the end of the first half? One, calling that timeout before the Indianapolis field goal, and two, kicking your own field goal on third down rather than attempting one more pass when you had about 8 seconds left.
Well, I'm going to go backward. I'm going to start at the first one, the kicking the field goal on third down. Well, the clock, you know, we didn't have a whole lot of time, and so if you don't kick it there and something goes wrong on a play, then you don't have the opportunity to get the points on the board. All right, so we kicked it to get the points on the board. And then at the end of the half, I made a decision to try to ice the kicker. Probably wasn't the best decision to make, but I called the timeout on that one. And probably if we had that timeout, we might have been able to use it to get a touchdown at the end of the half.
Sarah Barshop.
Romeo, from your perspective, why was Kiki Cutie not on the field for a lot of 2019 and then the first half of the season?
Well, we had some other guys who were on the field in 2019 that did a pretty decent job. And one of those guys got suspended. And so now QT is able to step in and do the kind of job that he did today. And that just shows what kind of player he is, shows what kind of mindset he had to practice, not be active, and now then he gets a chance and he performs and produces. And so those are the kind of kids we have on this team.
John McClain.
Romeo, could you talk about how Watson played, especially not having Fuller?
Well, I mean, you know, I think he plays really good. He plays pretty good. I mean, you know, those other guys across the line from him, you know, they got to him a couple times, but he was able to escape those guys a couple times. He makes some unbelievable escapes to let us move the chains and move the ball down the field and put points on the board. So he is still able to perform. And now then he didn't have Fuller, so he uses the other weapons that he has. and that's why QT and Chad had big games, because he got the ball to him. And so he's a good player for us.
Cody Davis.
Hey, Coach. Given everything this team has went through this week with the suspensions and even in this game with injuries, can you just talk about the level of fight that this team showcased today?
Well, I tell you what, they're tremendous guys, and all season, we've had to deal with several different things, the pandemic being the biggest one, but injuries, suspensions, and they keep going out and they keep fighting. As evidenced today, we fought all the way to the end, and probably we felt like that we were going to win it, and except for one play, we probably would have won it, but we didn't win it. But I told those guys to hold their heads up, because their will to win was exhibited today on the football field. They played a total game, the whole game, and it's never perfect. These games are never perfect. But if you play hard and put your heart and soul into it, then you give yourself the best chance.
Two more. Brandon Scott.
Hey, Romeo, what do you think has been the change in the defense over the last several weeks?
Well, I think guys have gotten better. They understand the system better. They understand what they need to do better than at the beginning of the year. The defense got some young guys on there, who didn't have a whole lot of playing time, and guys have to step in and play. And so they are learning. They've been learning on the job. And so some of that education has shown up, the last couple games. And we've been able to get stops when we needed to and get off the field and put the offense back out there.
Last question for Aaron Wilson. Go ahead, Brandon.
I was just going to ask Romeo, do you think that icing the kicker works? Like, I know there's been a debate about that in the past. Do you think that actually works?
Sometimes. I mean, hey, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. If he had missed the field goal, then boom, I would have been a genius. But he made it, so I'm a doofus.
Last question, Aaron Wilson.
Hey, Romeo, I wanted to get your thoughts on the performances of Charles Omenihu, J.J. Watt rushing, and also the guys that had to step in. You had to play Phillip Gaines more than you normally do with Bradley Roby suspended. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think Charles is beginning to show his ability and the fact that he's learning and understanding what this system needs from him. And so when he does it the right way, then he makes plays and he helps the defense. And he's doing it the right way more than earlier in the year. Okay. And then Gaines coming in and filling in, he's a pretty good player, because he had to play some last year, and he goes out there and he performs and he competes. And that's the thing that I tell him all the time, that you have to compete. When you go out there, you compete. And if you compete, then we'll let the chips fall where they may. And so we were able to make some plays, get off the field, and then give our offense an opportunity. And so that's what you want to do defensively, other than if you can turn the ball over, that's icing on the cake.
Great. Thanks so much.